Welcome back to another Story Saturdays. I am your host, Chris, Lifestyle Flashy Anthony. My company is Anthony Capital, and I do a lot of cool ass shit. Nah, it's a financial company. Anyways, this is not about this. It's about stories, right? Let's talk about stories. Last story was about me getting robbed. This story was about, just like the title said, I lost my job. What we gonna eat, man? What we gonna do? Huh? Well, that's how I felt when I lost it. This was a few years back. I've lost a ton of jobs, or I've quit a ton of jobs in the past. So it was nothing new. But this time that I lost a job was probably the most impactful. It showed me a lot. It taught me a lot, and I, till this day, don't do certain things anymore because of that. Let's go back to when it happened. Now, this was right before I got married. So before I got married, I was notorious for losing jobs or quitting jobs. Like I said, I would just pick a random day and be like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out. And then go into my entrepreneur adventure and learn that it wasn't all what it panned out to be. And then I'm back searching for a job because I need to make ends meet to buy all the cool stuff that I like to buy. So this time was no different. I quit a job to be a personal trainer. The gym that I was at, that I've been personal training at for like 2 years, decided the weekend of the day I quit, was like, yeah, we're just gonna cancel you too. So they revoked my membership from the gym. Really crazy story incident. So I went about 6 months without anything. Did odd jobs, off Craigslist and power washing and mowing lawns, anything I could figure out how to do to make $1 is what I did. So 6 months go by. End of August rolls around, and I get a job at a cable company. I start working at that cable company, and then you're out. Then you ride with somebody for a couple months, and then you're off on your own. So I just got done with riding with with doing the little tag along thing. It was a really cool job, really cool people, but for the money, I never understood how you expect to pay someone that little and they risk their lives. So big shout out to anyone that does any type of hard manual labor job. I can't do it. I learned that the hard way. So, anyways, towards the end, I go in for an interview one day at a government contracting company, probably early December, or late November, early December, around that time frame. Going for an interview, I have a great interview. 90% of the time, by going, if I can get an interview, I'm normally going to get the job. So leave the interview, and probably about mid-December, I get a phone call. Hey, Chris, this is so-and-so from so-and-so group. Hey, I just want to let you know that we really enjoyed you. We really want you to be part of our team. So what do you think? Is it something you still want to do? Absolutely. All right, Chris, we're going to give you these paperwork. We're going to give you this paperwork, and we need you to fill this out, bring it back to us. And after that, you should be good to go. All right, fill out my paperwork, give it to them. During this time, I'm still working because I'm afraid that something's going to go wrong. Everything's too right, and I'm like, something's going to go wrong. End of December hits, and they're like, before the end of the year, or before the beginning of the year, after the beginning of the year, so after the first, we're gonna bring you on like the second week. I'm like, all right, great, awesome. I work till then. Second week, like, all right, great, all your paperwork is good to go. We're waiting on one last thing, but you should have no problems. Everything looks great. So I'm like, okay, cool. This is probably about the end of January, because they tried to get me on the second week, couldn't. They said end of January, you should have no problems, right? Awesome. I pull up to a house because I'm still working this entire time. I pull up to a house, and I think that morning, before I got to that house, one of the managers called and complained to me about being like 2 minutes late, when I'm not really late, because you got to be there 15 minutes early, but you're not getting paid for that 15 minutes. I'm not understand. It's a crazy story. But anyways, I'm already a little irritated to get to the house, and I'm by myself now, and we're on a mountain, huge mountain, huge house, huge poles. If anyone does cable, you understand this. To get the cable now, because on these old houses, you got to go up the pole. Now I'm on top of a mountain. I'm on the edge of a mountain, and I'm about to climb up a pole, and I have a new job. You got me. So I'm like, yeah, this. I call my homeboy. I'm like, man, just ain't the day, man. I'm done with this. And he was like, oh yeah, yeah, F that job, F that truck, leave that truck there. I'm like, not gonna do that because they'll probably charge me. So I drive the truck back, tell him like, hey, this is just isn't for me. I don't want to do this anymore. Thanks for the opportunity, but I'm gonna go. And then, do the exit interview, get out, go home. I'm thinking, what can go wrong? They only have one sheet of paper to figure out, so why not? So that was end of January. In the beginning of February rolls around. I email him, just send him a quick, hey, what's the status update? He's like, oh, everything's still looking good. We're just waiting for your background clearance to check it to go through. Like, all right, no problem. I know there's nothing wrong with my background, so I'm still thinking like everything should be good. 2 more weeks pass by, and I'm still not too concerned because I still have a check coming through from the cable company. So I'm still a little hesitant, but I have a couple of dollars, and I'm like, all right, well, anytime now, this new company will call, and I'll be okay. So February, right before my birthday, right before my birthday, I remember this is either right. It was right after my birthday, actually. I remember this because my wife's grandfather passed away, and I was like, don't have that funeral on my birthday, please don't. And they waited till I think the next weekend. So everyone's downstairs mourning and crying and having their oh no moment. They're feeling bad, and I'm like, okay. So I go upstairs to use the restroom, and I look at my phone. I have a missed call. I'm like, okay, that's strange because it's like a Sunday. Or yeah, I got the call actually Friday. For some reason, I never saw it till Sunday. So I listened to it, and it's like, hey, this is so and so, the secretary from so and so group. We want to let you know that we're gonna have go ahead and rescind our offer because it's gonna take too long for you to get your clearance. And yeah, sorry. That was it. Looking around like, what? But how? So I go to my email, and they send me the email with the rescinding offer letter. And I'm like, this can't happen. And literally, I sat in the bathroom for like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes because I'm like, I can't go downstairs, and I can't tell Liz because she's already sad, and I don't feel like putting more burden on her. I know my parents are worried about me because they're just like, yo, you got to get it together, Chris. By February, I also knew I had a child on the way. So I was like, what are you finna do? So that day goes on. I didn't tell nobody. I think a couple days go by. I just don't say nothing. And then I just finally tell Liz one day, like, I don't have a job at all again. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, they rescinded the offer. And so she's upset and mad. She said, they can't do that. You quit your job because they said that you're okay. And I was like, I know. And I, at that point, was just, what do I do now? So back to the drawing board I went. And I think this is what made things so much different for me. I, as cheesy and as shitty as this sounds, not shitty, but I was just like, yo, you could sit here and complain, or you can create something new. And maybe you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're supposed to do these things because getting a job shouldn't be this fucking hard. So that next week, I woke up, put on a suit, and went to the library. I wake up the same time Liz woke up for a job, and I would go to the library, and then I would start going to different or meetings they had at the library, and then I went to different entrepreneur meetings they had at the Chamber of Commerce. So I would go to the Chamber of Commerce and sit through those meetings and entrepreneur events, and I would just continue to go. That's what I did every morning. Got up, went to do that. Then when they didn't have those going on, I'd get up, I would go to my parents' house, and I would sit there and watch MSNBC, and I'd watch those stocks tick by. And I was like, how hard would it be to understand and learn that? So for what? For 5 months, I sat there and did nothing but try to understand stocks for 5 months. That's reading books, that's watching it every day, that's practicing with it every day, that's doing my own like bullshit trading every day without anything. I would just those that would pick that stock. That's what I do here, and this is how I do that. And that's what this book would say. And I would just go through it every day, every day, every day. To a point where it's kind of like it was like a job for me, like just to learn that stuff and to read. Like I'd never read a book in my life. The very first book I read was the E Myth. Then after reading E Myth, I read of course the 48 Laws of Power. And that's when I really got into like the human psyche and realized like trading isn't really about being the smartest guys. It's about understanding who you are as a person and adjusting your emotional strategies. Is more emotional than it is anything else. So I learned a shit ton in a small amount of time, and it was like I was amazed with myself. My parents were like, I was a little sad for you, like because you didn't have a job and you would come over here dressed up every day, and you would sit in the basement or you sit in over the garage and sit there for hours. And we never seen anyone that was in a low point but never put their head down. And I was like, oh, I had two choices at that point. Either A, figure some new shit out, or B, just sit. What I'm gonna do, sit in the bed while my wife is working every day and coming home to me still in the bed? Like that can't happen either. Anyways, ran into all of this, ran me into like someone putting me on a financial job in Texas, and moved out there, got really good at my job. Now that because I'd been such a terrible worker before, I was like an awesome worker when I started again. So I got that job, became really good at that. They like within less than 6 months, they moved me up to a new position, and then I got an offer to come back to where I'm at now, and it was with a new company, and they were it was like a fairly new company, and they were trying to get a team together, and I'd been someone that given my name to them and was like, he's a really good guy. I should give him a chance to be a CFO at this company. And so they gave me that opportunity, and I rocked out with that. And then it led me to what I'm doing now with my own company, and then with the things I do with NASA. So I guess I tell this whole entire long ass story to say like, when you lose your job, it's not the end of the world. It might feel like the end of the world. Your bills might be fucked up for a while, and your credit might take kind of a little bit of a hit. But if you focus and you change and you direct what you want to do, because I went from being a personal trainer to really like in the financial world, and it was just my mindset. I looked at something and said, "This is what I want to do now," and I started dressing like it. I started thinking about it all the time. I started talking about it all the time. I try to surround myself with people with it all the time, and it just changed the direction. I think I could still do that if I wanted to be a fucking coder. It's like change, figure it out, figure out the people you need to be around, and your whole life is going to change in a new direction. So no matter what you want to do, like it's not going to just come to you. You're not going to just stumble on it and be like, hey, why am I not doing X, Y, and Z? Because this is what I want to do. You just have to just slowly get into it, and you'll get there. You don't have to go to meetings and talk. I literally went to different meetings. I never talked, but after like 5 or 10 of those meetings, you run into people that's at those same meetings. Like, oh, hey, how you doing? It's like going to the gym every day. After you go for about a month, you start speaking to people because they're like, oh, I know you're here all the time. Pick yourself up, dust off, keep moving forward. You got this. That's been another Story Saturdays. Hopefully that wasn't fucking depressing. Uh, should have been a good happy story, but it is what it is, man. Y'all be cool. How y'all be cool? Gym time.